So let me ask you a question. What happens when your entire cloud provider goes down? I mean, completely offline. For most companies, that's just game over. But you know what? It really doesn't have to be. Today, we're going to dive into a super powerful strategy for building a system that can actually withstand a total cloud outage. We're talking about architecting for multi-cloud resilience with something called Kubernetes Federation. Here's the plan for our journey today. We're going to start with the absolute nightmare scenario that every architect dreads, a complete cloud failure. Then we'll build our way out of it, introducing the idea of a multi-cloud safety net. From there, we'll get really practical with a strategy called the active-passive pattern, walk step by step through a live failover, and then open up the architect's playbook. And to wrap it all up, we'll look beyond just surviving to see what other amazing strategic doors this kind of resilience can unlock.
You know, any organization that's built its foundation on a single cloud provider has this lingering fear in the back of their mind. A massive, region-wide, or heck, even a provider-wide outage. It's pretty much the digital version of the ground just completely disappearing from under your feet.
So let's just be direct here for a second. Your provider is down. Your services are completely offline. Your customers are just seeing error messages. Right now, in this moment, what is your plan of action?
You know, the honest answer for far, far too many companies is simply to wait it out. But every single minute you're down, the damage just compounds. And it's not just about the lost revenue, right? It's about the erosion of your customers' trust, and that can be way more costly and so much harder to rebuild.
But what if waiting wasn't your only option? What if you had a safety net already stretched out between multiple clouds? Well, this is exactly what Kubernetes Federation gives you, a way to turn what could be a total catastrophe into a manageable, maybe even a routine incident.
Okay, so what exactly is Kubernetes Federation? Just imagine a conductor leading a huge orchestra. But instead of musicians, you've got Kubernetes clusters running on AWS, Google Cloud, and Azure. The conductor? That's our federation layer. Sees them all as just one single, unified orchestra. It directs the applications on where to play. And the tools that make this all happen, the conductor's baton, if you will, are things like Karmada or Cluster API. Now this slide, this really puts the whole strategic leap we're talking about into perspective. Over on the left, that's the old world, brittle, locked into one vendor, and always at the mercy of a single provider's problems. But on the right, this federated approach offers real freedom and, more importantly, real resilience. We're not just talking about surviving a regional outage anymore. We're talking about having the ability to withstand the failure of an entire cloud provider. It's a huge shift from being reactive to being proactively resilient.
So how do we actually put this into practice? Well, one of the most effective and pretty straightforward ways to do it is with a classic disaster recovery strategy. It's known as the active-passive pattern.
Let's meet the key players in this little drama. First up, you've got the active cluster. This is our main stage running in one cloud, and it's handling 100% of our live traffic. Then, waiting in the wings, we have the passive cluster, sitting in a completely different cloud. Think of it as a hot standby. It's fully provisioned, it's scaled up, and it's ready to take center stage at a moment's notice. And who's directing this whole show? That's the Federation control plane. It's basically our air traffic controller, constantly watching that active runway and ready to divert all the traffic to the standby runway the very instant it detects any trouble.
All right, this is the moment of truth. The alarms are blaring, your active cluster is down. Do you panic? Nope. This is where all that preparation meets reality. Let's walk through the anatomy of a totally seamless, automated failover. It all happens in 4 critical steps, and it's fast. First, detect. This isn't some person making a call. It's sophisticated, automated monitoring that detects a catastrophic failure. Second, migrate. The Federation control plane immediately kicks in its failover logic, pushing the application state and workloads right over to that passive cluster. Third, update. At the same time, it makes an API call to your global DNS provider, flipping the switch to route all user traffic to the newly active, healthy cluster. And fourth, validate. Automated scripts run against the new environment to confirm that the applications are healthy and all services are fully back online. The crazy part? All of this can happen in just a matter of minutes.
Now, that automated sequence is incredibly powerful, but listen, it doesn't just happen by magic. It requires some really careful planning and architecture. This is the architect's playbook. These are the critical details that make a smooth failover even possible.
So, how do you make sure this whole thing works flawlessly when you actually need it the most?
Here's your checklist. First, architecture is everything. Your apps have to be designed for this. Ideally, they're stateless, but if they're not, your data replication strategy needs to be absolutely bulletproof. Second, DNS can be your best friend or your worst enemy. A low time to live, or TTL, on your records is non-negotiable. Otherwise, your users will be stuck trying to reach a dead cluster. Third, trust but verify. You have to have those validation scripts ready to give you the all-clear that the failover was a success. And finally, and I really can't stress this enough, you have to practice. A fire drill is the only way to know for sure that your safety net is actually going to hold when a real fire starts.
Look, building this kind of resilience is a massive achievement. It really is. But what's truly exciting is that disaster recovery, that's just the beginning. This kind of architecture unlocks a whole new level of strategic capability.
So let's just end with this really powerful idea. If you can move your entire application footprint from one cloud to another in minutes, you haven't just built a disaster recovery plan. You've achieved true cloud freedom. You've literally broken the chains of vendor lock-in. Now you can chase the best pricing, or the best performance, or the newest features, no matter which provider has them. You can intelligently route users to the closest cloud for lightning-fast performance. You can do massive upgrades with zero downtime using blue-green deployments across different providers. The question is no longer about survival, it's about what you're going to build with this ultimate agility.